unmovable object meets an unstoppable force in turn vs turn. Absolutely nothing goes on for 30 minutes, and then the forces collide, and then they finally finish the game.
Seems SjoW's doing a drop in the middle of BratOK's base, killing quite a lot of SCVs there. I like this player pushing a little bit of advantage. Probably mostly as a stalling tactic while he gets up his second expansion at the rich mineral fields. I would say at this stage that BratOK is in quite bad shape. They're probably sitting at about similar sized armies. Actually, in fact, it's quite close actually, but SjoW definitely has a mineral advantage at this stage.
Yeah, I'd say so. It just feels like BratOK's kind of being cornered away here. He does have that Raven up where SjoW does not, so he has got the advantage in a fight if they were to meet. I think that's why SjoW's backing off now. But that interesting enough, oh, we got another drop in BratOK's main now with a couple Marauders and Marines. Looks like they're just going to be working on a few more SCVs over there. But then again, we've got BratOK moving in to SjoW's natural expansion. They sees that it's a planetary fortress and has to pull back though, because he can't really hold up against that planetary fortress. Finally pops on a point defense drone, but SjoW's just going to back away, and the both players going to continue as is. So, well, a lot of action amounted to a whole lot of nothing right about there. But they did manage to threaten each other, I suppose. Now, interesting enough, SjoW's attack, the first drop on BratOK's main, I think was a diversion tactic to try and draw BratOK's forces into his main, and then SjoW tried to move in onto the natural expansion with his force to try gain a good position over BratOK, but he didn't actually manage to achieve that. I think the drop in the base wasn't that effective, but look at these forces going at each other, and now I think that SjoW, despite having more units, is having a fight of his life here. That point defense drone working so well for BratOK right now, even against the Vikings. And look how BratOK overcame that force. Wow. Of course, in StarCraft 2, it's not about winning a battle; it's about by what margin you win the battle. And I'd say that BratOK came out of that one with quite a margin. So he's really taking it. Of course, BratOK's now lost all that advantage that he built up. I feel that he kind of over pushed there and maybe could have held back just a little bit. Maybe load something up in a medvac and then brought it around the edge of SjoW's base or something. Got a better position for those Marauders. It felt like they were fighting their way through mud there, trying to get an advantage.
I like SjoW's use of his SCVs there to kind of act as a meat shield while his forces regrouped. I think a better play might have been. Well, no, that's actually wrong. There's a planetary fortress at the rich minerals, which would make it a bad spot to attack. You know, I think with BratOK using so many medvacs there, he was kind of, you know, in a bit of trouble. But he wanted to push his advantage right away. Yeah, he has taken this opportunity though to during the battle he was building another. Command center, and he does have an expansion up now, so his economy should be able to match SjoW's if he's able to hold out. SjoW seems to be taking another medvac to do another drop, just trying to pull some small advantage, assuming that probably BratOK not expecting it.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to put the pressure on BratOK. You know, I heard a great quote was that if you don't put pressure on your opponent, they're going to play perfect, and especially at this level, you want to keep your opponent from playing any amount of perfect out of the game. But they drop actually quite effective, and he managed to take out quite a few units in there, and wasting a bit of BratOK's time, and he managed to gain some position in the center of the map too, so SjoW did a good job there. But what was so interesting about this particular game for me was how late they came out with the siege tanks. I mean, usually Terran vs Terran is riddled with siege tanks, and only now do we get the siege tanks. That's just incredible, you know. Of course, siege didn't really feature that much in Warcraft 3 as much as it does in StarCraft 2. Did you ever see great siege usage in Warcraft 3?
No, there've definitely been cases, but mostly like as an exception rather than a rule. Looks like SjoW now pushing BratOK's.
Yeah.
Takes it down, going for a counter push. I'm also very curious as to why there were so few siege tanks this game. I would have thought with such a small map, being able to use the siege tanks for positional advantage would have been of greater use.
I hear you on that one, but also, well, I actually this went around my brain quite a lot, you know, trying to work it out. And what I eventually resolved was that the siege tanks aren't very prominent in this game because there's no real small chokes in the game where you can filter units through and go through like that. You know, you've got to position your siege tanks just right to get an advantage on this particular map. And they say it can get sniped out so easily by sort of stimmed up marauders or whatnot that you need something to cover it. Look at how BratOK's trying to block up his choke now with the command center and a couple marauders just to protect his siege tanks, because as you can see, these siege tanks are just going to get sniped up. There it is, went down. And it looks like BratOK will lose this fight quite convincingly. He does not have the point defense drone in hand at this time, and too many Marines in play right now for those Marauders to deal with. Yep, that does look like the end of it, and I think that if I was BratOK, I would definitely call GG. He does hold on until the bitter last end, but SjoW did well to win this game. It's to conquer over this thing. Now, why I think SjoW won was just because he played his position and he was very patient. He didn't go out and force his hand like BratOK did. BratOK, I feel, went out too far on a limb. You know, he maybe did a little bit of a silly maneuver there with his siege tanks. He could have done a little better.
I think SjoW also pushed a lot of like small advantages by constantly doing drops and sending in small amounts of units just to harass those SCVs. Small advantages over time slowly added up, giving him like, you know, an extra expansion or so that I think slowly changed the game.
Very true. Anyways, that's it for game number 1 between SjoW and BratOK, guys, and we'll be moving to game number 2 pretty soon.